I wanted to share with you all a few observations I've made about life and experiences I've had during my time on Earth so far that I believe to be true. The first one, which I think is one of the most vital to take from this video, is your life is built based off your beliefs and identity. Everything you think turns into what you see around you, into your reality. So if you don't believe what you're doing is ever possible or has real purpose, then it won't ever happen. You can't trick your brain that way, because subconsciously it knows deep down that you don't believe it, or that you're on the wrong path in your life. The next is confidence only ever comes from action and actually doing something. It never comes before. So no matter how scared you are or how you feel, you have to try different things in order to grow. It's that classic old time saying we've all heard before. If the harvester waits for the perfect season to grow crops, it will never harvest. Confidence develops through action. And for you to give yourself the proper time to be able to thrive at something, which also comes by making your peace with failure too. Confidence is often not a belief in success, it's a comfort with failure. It's how many times are you willing to suck and fail at something you deeply believe in before the rainbow finally appears. I'll happily share with you all guys, I've had some dicey moments in the past few years where the things I felt were going to work out for me didn't, for whatever reason. And I won't lie, shit really fell apart for a time and the wheels really spun off. And it left me for some time feeling like I'd reached the end of my rope with everything, and that my life was over, or I'd missed the boat somewhere along the way. But then slowly but surely, as enough time goes by, you all of a sudden find yourself feeling like you can dare to dream again, to try something new, to start over. So at first, what looked like a setback and an epic fail in my life, now all of a sudden has led me to the simple realization that everything does happen for a reason. And that where you're going in life is much more important than where you've been. Which eventually led me to having the inspiration to write. It led me to the inspiration to write my debut album last year, and then a book about creativity, and now launching this YouTube channel. You know, with me sitting here today talking to all of you guys, which still, every time I go to hit record to shoot a video, there's this resistance, a kind of fear, or little voice in my head telling me, don't bother, Jamie, because it will probably tank and nobody will like it. Or, you know, I don't have the right setup yet. You know, Jamie, look at these other YouTube creators. They have pro lighting set up, multiple camera shots, a really cool intro logo. I don't have any of these things. I don't have any of that yet. You know, all these excuses you can find to not do it. But the simple truth is, I know deep down, the way I'm wired, I will feel way better and learn way more from doing it than not doing it. As we're all truly aware, there's a price we pay for inaction. So you use what you have to pay for what you want later. And what you have already is all you need. You are enough. So get moving and start lighting shit up. I've talked a little on this before too, in previous videos. We are not our feelings. Don't get me wrong, paying attention to how you feel is important, especially if you're an artist or creator. It's in some ways a unique, valuable skill we have as people that can sometimes give us the perspicacity to see things that others don't. However, when it comes to dialing in and doing the work you know is important to you, you shouldn't let your feelings hijack your day-to-day existence. At the end of the day, the biggest epiphany I've had about life, guys, if I'm really going to put it under the microscope and just put it in very simple terms, is this. All we ever want as people is to stay connected to inspiration. Whatever that is. It is something to believe in, to move on, to feel connected to, and to be plugged in. To be plugged in to something that's bigger than ourselves. You know, whether that's in a person, in a career, a wave in the ocean, or a relationship with the person of your dreams, or your family. All it simply comes down to at the end of the day, guys, is the desire to be connected to inspiration. That's it. And lastly, this. Most jobs. So I'll be honest, and some people might hate me for it. However, I think roughly around 85% of jobs in the marketplace today are a waste of time. They're completely perfunctory. Meaningless, basically, I think. Mark Manson says it best. You can have anything you want in life. You just can't have everything. Life is a game of trade-offs. So, you know, if there's something you want to be doing in your life, there will be an element of sacrifice involved. No doubt about it. You know, there might be something you may have to give up in order to make space for something more meaningful long term. You don't want to be burning yourself out in a day job like I have been at times, where you work 8 or 9 hours at a place you don't really enjoy, with people you don't really have anything in common with, which sucks. It sucks all your energy. So when you finally do get home, sometimes, to work on that thing you're excited about, you know, you have some dinner first, Now it's 8 p.m. And let's face it, you're cooked. When are you going to find that extra energy and motivation to start working on that project idea that you're really tripping about? It's time to go to bed now. And then you wake up at 6, 7 a.m. and you have to do it all over again. You know, you're completely spent. And so the cycle repeats. And before you know it, that spark in your eye and that idea you're excited about starts to look a lot smaller, a little further away, just out in the distance. And then you wake up and all of a sudden to find you're 50. And you're asking yourself, where did all that time go? This could mean reducing your work hours at your day job maybe. Maybe do 4 days instead of 5. Now all of a sudden you have a 3-day week to work on your ideas. The ideas you want to implement and the ideas that excite you. I was once working at a startup boutique recording studio in southeast London with 3 of my closest friends at the time, while trying to manage a day job. So in order to be able to push the studio business forward, I made a compromise with my boss and told him I can only work 4 days, not 5. This cut me loose to be able to put the time and hours in with the studio in order to try and get it off the ground. Man, I've ducked in and out of so many jobs over the years, which I can honestly tell you from the mountain of jobs I've had, I can count only 2 that I feel were actually worth it, which taught me something and gave me some meaning and purpose and direction in my life. Anybody who knows me is aware that in the past couple of years, my experience with the workplace has been pretty punishing. It's been challenging and a source of much frustration for me, especially as most of the times when I've been chasing down certain opportunities, it's come from a place of just honestly, guys, needing to get by and to not be drowning all the time financially. It's often felt aimless and of no real bigger long-term value to me. And trust me, if you can avoid it, guys, you don't want to be in that position like I sometimes have been. Don't get me wrong, there's been some epic, incredible times in my life. And I don't regret where I've ended up. However, at times, there could have been some trapdoors that I could have avoided. At the end of the day, you're not your job, man. You're something way much more. That's why knowing yourself and what your potential is radically important. Radically important. I always knew I was capable of doing something special. At least that's how I felt in myself. You know, that something was screaming beneath the surface to get out. However, I couldn't always figure out what it was or how to pull it out of me. You know, to make it tangible. But now I think I do. Unfortunately, in today's society, what we're surrounded by, especially if you're in the UK or the US, for a lot of people, we are so swept up in what our job title is. If we don't have those things, we can feel like we've lost our sense of value. You know, if you go to a barbecue with some friends or family, or you go out to dinner with people you haven't seen for a while, or you go to a party, you hit up a party, and people are saying, "Oh, so what do you do, Jamie?" Or "What are you up to at the moment? What's going on? What are you working towards?" You know, there's so much value that's put on our job titles, but at the end of the day, it's bullshit. There's this Nordic and I guess socialist philosophy on work deadlines and productivity, right? That I massively subscribe to. I think it's safe to say I endorse it heavily. So there's a Nordic philosophy which is, if you work a traditional 9 to 5 and your boss gives you a work project which your boss says you have till the end of the week to deliver on and execute, then it will take you till the end of the week to finish, right? That's how the human brain usually works. When the reality is, a lot of times, it can be done in a few days or even a few hours, depending on what the task is. That's why most Nordic countries allow for a 4-day working week now, because they know being a slave to outdated productivity models in the workplace is a suboptimal solution. I've had weeks where I've felt so inspired and productive about something I'm doing that I've put together an entire marketing release strategy for new music, along with simultaneously working a 9 to 5 day job, looking after my dad's dog all day, and getting in a really long daily walk on top. And then still executing my goals before the deadline. I've still executed them. And trust me, I could have done it a lot earlier if I didn't have the damn 9 to 5 job getting in the way. If that wasn't in my way, where I've got a bunch of work emails to send, pointless work meetings over Microsoft Teams, you know, and dealing with cloud CRM systems that are slow and barely work, dealing with AI stuff. The reality is most people in today's workplace are sleepwalking through life or checking their stupid phones all the time, looking at TikTok. They might as well be zombies, right? Like, I've literally cut people out of my life recently because they are too consumed and swept up with their phone and aren't present when I'm with them. It's scary how many people are on autopilot these days and just sleepwalking through life. You see it on the London Underground or when you're out at the supermarket. People barely look you in the eyes anymore because they're just too consumed with this tiny electronic device they are holding in their hands. That's why I mentioned in the previous video about digital detox time blocks. The importance of checking out for a period of time when it comes to your phone. Whether it's an hour, 2 hours, a whole day. Just so your brain and body can experience existence without the constant need to be attached to your phone. It's depressing, guys. Do you not think? Or is it just me? So, never underestimate your potential and what you can achieve. As long as you're aiming your time and effort in the right areas of your life, no matter how long it takes, and at what you're aiming at what's really important to you, no matter how long. No matter how long the road. You are never too old to be successful. Remember that. Being successful doesn't have an age discrimination on it. But sometimes you have to try a bunch of different things before you get to really know yourself. But never let it come at a cost of your authenticity and your unique spark as a person. As of the past 6 months or so, I've been so dialed into what I'm working on. I haven't really socialized at all, guys. Other than I think on 2 occasions. Which was tied into a work project anyways. You know, I haven't needed to socialize. It's too much of a distraction. It's a moving target in my way. So that's why it's important to take a leap of faith from time to time to implement your ideas, not just spin your wheels on them, and to go all in on yourself sometimes and never give up. No matter how small that beam of light that's shining down on you sometimes looks. Never give up.